What's up, guys? Welcome back to Catfish Motorsports. I did a short on this earlier, but I wanted to go just a little bit more in depth, so we're going to do a little longer video so I don't have to try to stuff all this in under a minute. I bought a brand new used 1999 supercharged Pontiac Bonneville. Stick around, we're going to figure out how to make the supercharger work again. So what happened is a girl at work had this, wanted to get rid of it. This was her high school car, and she was just tired of it. It was taking up an extra parking spot. So I picked this thing up real cheap. I'm not going to give you the number, but it was pretty absurdly low. And I've always thought these cars were really cool. For the 90s, you know, I mean, everything was down on power, and this made almost 250 horsepower. And supercharged. Like, I just don't care. That's cool no matter what. Here's the problem. When I drove it home after changing a radiator in a parking lot and a transmission line blew through, it wasn't the most fun day. But we got it home, but what I found out was that we just weren't making boost. And while you can have some weird stuff, you know, map sensor issues, etc., most of the time what that's going to be is it's either going to be your bypass regulator not working properly, or equally likely a vacuum line. Now you can probably see on here, we'll get you in closer, that I've already changed some of these hoses, so you can kind of see where we're going with this, with what my problem was. But let's show you how I kind of got there and how to troubleshoot it. So if you've got one of these cars, because they put these supercharged M90 things in a lot of stuff, I mean, even like Ford Lightnings had, I think, the same type of supercharger. So this could apply to a lot of different stuff. So here we are on top of the engine. Like I said, you can see that I replaced a lot of these vacuum hoses already. Here is your supercharger bypass regulator. Now, there's a little vacuum diaphragm in this, almost like a mini brake booster. And if that's got a hole in it, it won't seal like it should. Pressure will escape past it, and then you won't see boost. So that's where we're going to start. That's where I'd recommend you guys start if you're seeing the same problem where your boost gauge is just showing zero boost or zero vacuum either. That's where I would start. So I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot that real quick. It's very simple. Okay, so the way this little guy works, you know, I said it was like a brake booster, but thinking about it, it's actually really close to how a booster on your HEI distributor works, or any kind of distributor for that matter, to give you vacuum advance. So what you're going to do to test it is you're going to pop one of these off at a time. You're going to lift that arm up, and then you're going to hold your finger over it, and it should hold pressure. There we go. Okay, so we're going to lift this arm up right here. You can see that's kind of spring actuated. Now we're going to hold that all the way up, and we can see that it held. So that's good. Now when I take my finger off, it's going to go back down. Beautiful. So that means that we're functioning on the top port. We're going to check the bottom port too. I'm not going to show that on camera because it's the same exact thing. But both ports, when you put your finger over it and hold the actuator up, it should hold and not go all the way down. If it immediately drops, you've got a bad leak. If it's going down slowly, you've got a slow leak. If you need to replace this, they're about $35, $40 online. So now we've established that our modulator regulator is good. So we're just going to start looking for vacuum leaks. Now, you can, you know, take ether and spray around, or, you know, carb cleaner, whatever. You can find plenty of videos on this where you turn the car on and then start spraying. And if you hear the RPM pick up, you've got a leak. You could also do the same thing with water, and instead of hearing it go up, you'll hear the engine stumble. You know, you could argue that's actually a little bit safer, and you're not going to be able to put enough water down in there. You're going to hurt the engine, so you're not spraying flammable chemicals around. But either way works. I didn't do that because I had a whole bunch of these brittle plastic 1990s vacuum hose on this, and I just decided to replace, you know, pretty much all of them. There's a few of them that I've left that I probably will replace, because ultimately I'm probably not going to keep this car. I'm just going to prep this probably for another high school kid's first car or something like that. So we're going to do some safety upgrades and some basic maintenance, and then move it on down the road to somebody who will continue to enjoy it. So these hoses here, I really like to use these for vacuum hoses. They are neoprene, I think. I buy them just by the roll because they're great for vacuum hose. They're thick-walled, so you can't squeeze them down and close them like you can some of the thin-walled rubber stuff. If you run a rubber line that's too long or have too much vacuum to it, you can actually, it'll pinch closed. These won't do that because they're so thick, and also because they're thick, if they're rubbing on something, it's a lot harder for them to rub through. So there are a couple different colors just because I had some stuff laying around. Now, one of the performance companies that makes a lot of parts for these cars, I believe it's ZZ Performance. I'll correct that if I'm wrong, but they actually make a whole kit to do this. It's about 60 bucks, and you know, those guys do a lot of stuff for these engines, so you know, I recommend you support them. If you've got one of these, it's a good idea to buy that kit because it'll come with all the T's you need and enough line to do all this. Again, I had this stuff laying around, so I didn't quite do that, but you don't have to spend the $70 or $80 on the kit, $60, whatever it is. You can just go buy a vacuum hose, and I just went to O'Reilly's and bought a pack of various T's and fittings and stuff like that. You can see one there to make this work. So with stuff that I had laying around, I'm into this about $8, something like that. Now in my case, I was able to find the smoking gun. There was a T that went under the supercharger that was split. It had a huge split in it, and that was our leak. It's basically, as soon as I replaced that, everything started working again. And that's where, like I said, if you buy the proper kit, it'll come with those T's again, so you don't have to do stuff like this where I've got this zip tied on because this nipple was a little too small for this size hose and I didn't have anything else to adapt it. One thing to warn about if you aren't buying a kit that's going to come with new fittings that you need, there was a couple places where I shoved one of these plastic adapters into one of these T's, you know, because I had them and I didn't have anything else to use, and because these are also 20 years old, just like the line, it caused the same split that we're seeing here. So be aware that that's a possibility. You might be trying to do this on the cheap and then do that to yourself by trying to shove a plastic fitting into one of these. So just be aware that's a possibility, and that might make you want to spend a little bit of extra money and get the kit with all brand new parts to do this. Hey, that's really all there is to it, guys. Check your boost regulator modulator deal. If that's functional, start replacing vacuum lines. And honestly, if your vacuum lines are original, you should probably replace them anyway if your car will start making boost again. Please like and subscribe. We're gonna do a little bit more to this, and then we're gonna go back to working on my much older hot rods. Stick around.